3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Great to be with you. Thanks for joining us. As always, we begin the show by doffing the cap to our friends at Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Did you see the locations map that I tweeted the other day?
Yeah,
Corey, did you see that?
I did. That was crazy.
So we've made Register Sausage rich.
You know, it's Ben's. Look, man, it's not just us. It's not all us.
Are we kidding?
I mean, it's mostly us.
It's
right.
pretty much us.
But
yeah,
but yeah, man, I tweeted when we first started this. I mean, it's literally been less than 2 years ago. Register Sausage was mostly available in the Panhandle, a little bit in Alabama and Georgia, and now you can get your Register Sausage. And I think the headliners have done their part with the protests out in the streets, the boots on the ground, and lots of locations down into Tampa, going up into the Carolinas, going into Tennessee. But not everywhere. We're still trying to do more. I actually, you guys will appreciate this. I texted Ben the other day after I tweeted the graphic, and I said, yeah, man, I was about to tweet something about Ben's going after world domination, but I thought maybe that might not be the time for that.
No. And, you know, in a time where there's so much to protest and stand up for, it's so cool that the headliners have chosen to really stand up on behalf of Register Sausage. You know, I think it's absolutely pivotal.
And Ben has also banned Register Sausage in Russia, right? Wasn't that one of the things he did last week?
Yeah. He got out in front of it, though, before the initial aggression. He knew it was coming.
Well, that's why he's never gone to Alaska. I mean, just because
so close.
But anyway, registermeats.com is the website. If you don't live in the Southeast, they're coming for you soon. Ben's coming for you soon, but until then, you can have it delivered. They ship it in these ice packs. It comes completely fresh and preserved, and you definitely want to take part in all the goodness, all the different varieties of sausage. Registermeats.com.
And so here we sit, boys, the last Seminole headlines before the start of spring football. And Corey, I know you were devastated not to be able to be there this morning, bright and early. It was a little nippy out, driving in around 5:30 this morning. I thought of you. I said, I can't wait to see Corey. He's going to be there. I'm going to bring him some coffee. I had extra coffee for you, and you weren't there. I didn't know that you were hiding in Atlanta.
I was. I specifically pointed out this. I picked this week to come back and be a dad.
Well played.
Because I knew that was coming. How was that, guys? Well, Jeff, you get up at the crack of dawn anyway. That was nothing new for you. How was it, Ira?
Well, the funny thing is when I pulled into the parking lot,
I was there, and
I saw Jeff's car there. I was shocked a little bit. At first, it's not often that the rest of the staff beats me to events. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, wait, that's Jeff. He might have been here since 4:30.
I might have been there reading, drinking a cup of coffee, just talking to folks as they came on by. Some people were just coming home from the night before. It is college after all.
Yeah. But no, man, it was good. The thing is, I was thinking about this. I'll probably write about it a little bit later. We've got a lot of stuff on the website at warchant.com, a lot of observation about individual players and things. But, it really – it just kind of reminds you of how far things have come in the last couple of years. I mean, Tom texted me about this, Jeff. I'm sure you felt the same way. Compared to what we saw of this team 2 years ago, physically, again, it's next week practice starts. But from a physical standpoint, you're starting to see a team that looks like what you'd like to see at this level.
Getting there. I think the starters look like that with a little bit of depth. I still think it's lacking. I have to shake this vision that I have in my head from the 90s and early 2000s because I'm old and I've been covering this team and been out at practices since the 90s. And so when we were at our heyday and in our heyday, or if you wanted to hearken and fast forward to the best moments in the Jimbo era 12, 13, and 14, this team was littered with athletes. They were, and that's when you realize, I mean, I'm sure folks who go out to Georgia's practice, Alabama's practice, it's just one athlete after the other. A guy goes down. You're like, oh, well, they got to go to that 5-star. They got to go to that. Florida State's not there. And it's not fair to expect them to be there right now. They have gotten to a place, to your point.
The frontline
guys, for the most part, not at every position, but we're getting closer, look like guys that should be here. And I listen, these guys are all out there working their ass off at ungodly hours and sacrificing. So I say this with all due respect.
Oh, that means some disrespectful coming.
No. Sometimes
that's exactly what that means.
Usually it does. But what I'm saying is that I'll stand there and I'll think, man, we've got to get to a place where I don't see so many guys that don't look like they should be at Florida State.
See?
No, but that's not a knock on those guys. I'm saying we're trying to build it back up. There are still too many areas where you go, Okay, all right. Gonna have to get a little bit deeper there. But again, you're right. The starters hey, listen, Caden Lyles looks like he'd start anywhere in the country for the best offensive line in the country. That dude is an animal. Corey, you would have been just dancing around happy looking at that guy. He is, you have trouble judging linemen with Dylan Gibbons and the like, but I'm telling you, you would not have thought second time about whether or not that guy's going to be a starter. He is a beast.
It's a big dude.
Good. They need a few more of them. Good.
Yeah, and and again, it's kind of the same thing. Jared Verse is another one, defensive end that looks like, okay, but they look like physically what the best of the best in the country has. I'm not saying they're the best of the best in the country. I'm just saying what they look like physically. They have the physical tools of what you just see it at Alabama or Georgia or someone like that. Now, whether or not they can play to that level, we'll have to see. But I mean, and then just some of the returning guys, I was impressed with Jarvis Brownlee and some of the other guys. Travis Jay is just, if the only time you ever saw Travis Jay was in these workouts, tour of duty, or other workouts, you'd be like, I mean, how is he not an All-American? So I guess that's the thing that kind of brings you down to earth a little bit, as you say, okay, well, this is still, it's workouts. It's good to see that they're athletic and quick, but it's still not football.
And they've got an abundance of guys that there's still a little bit of time for, and Travis Jay would be a guy, right? I mean, we did this last year, and I'm not going to assume anything that he's going to arrive and play well, but you're right to look at him. You'd say they got to find a way to get something out of that kid. He's just so athletic. There's no reason for him to be sitting over there doing absolutely nothing for this squad. It's frustrating because they have some guys like that you're like, oh, maybe the light bulb goes off. And if they do, because of the athleticism, you think, okay, well, then now you have an added bonus. But they have a lot of guys in the secondary. I sound like a broken record from last year, but they do. They have a lot of options. And
the other thing that stood out is the younger DBs that they signed, especially in this class, Sam McCall and Azaria Thomas. I mean, they're long, lanky, athletic, really impressive guys. I mean, we have to see how they play. Can they cover? Can they play in space? Can they come up and run support? Can they do all those things? But from a physical standpoint, they look like the next level. Corey, you did watch Josh Storms' interview. I know. I'm sure you also watched Jeff and I stand up afterwards.
I missed that, man. I missed that. I if I wanted to know about tour of duty guys, I would have been there. You know what I'm saying? Anybody? Yeah. No, I will watch it though.
But you watched Josh Storms. Anything
I did,
interesting from that?
Well, yeah, I thought the most interesting thing was he talked about why they do tour of duty when they do it, which is the winter. They start the winter program with it because they know there's a leadership void. Guys like Corbin are gone. Guys like Jermaine Johnson are gone, and it's such a arduous, exhausting mental mind screw that it really there's a leadership void, and they know that's a great time to try to see who's going to fill it because it is so exhausting, and you can find leaders in that environment, in that atmosphere, because that's what Norvell wants to find. And so he talked about that, like the guys stepping up, being leaders, knowing they're supposed to, trying to fill the role. And some guys want to do it, and then some guys are proving they can do it. I thought that was really interesting, and also the fact that it's so different now than it was 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, nobody had gone through it. Not one single kid on the team had gone through tour of duty. Now it's like at least half the team. I think he said, Ira, including walk-ons, they have 109 kids on the football team right now, and like 40 to 45 or 46 of them are going through tour of duty for the first time, which is a lot. But it also means, if my math is correct, 64 guys have done it before. So that's a lot better than 0, which was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I also think when you again, like watching some of that leadership stuff he talked about, you could see it in some examples. I mean, I'm impressed by a guy like Steven Dix, who lost a starting job. He started a lot of games as a freshman 2 years ago. Last year, loses that starting job. I kind of wondered if he would come back because the guys that beat you out, DJ Lundy now is coming back, and he started all last season. Not that I expected Dix to leave, but you lost a starting job in your going into your sophomore year. But man, you could see he's not just a really good athlete, but he's a very good leader. Hunter Washington. There were some other guys that are second year guys in the program now that are starting to step up in that way. And I'll tell you the most not surprising, maybe the most surprising thing I saw was they give out black jerseys for basically the top performers. They don't tell us the criteria, but it's the guys who have been the best performers either in tour of duty recently or during the entire winter conditioning. I'm not sure the exact criteria, but basically it means these guys have done exceptionally well. And the 3 guys in black jerseys today, there was one on offense, Tate Rodemaker. The 2 on defense were Bernardo Greene and shoot, I have to check on, I can't remember the third one. I'll look it up here in a second. But Bernardo Greene is a guy that last year didn't play real well, then got hurt and never really came back, never got back in the fold. And he was a guy I was wondering, maybe he got passed over by Jamie Robinson, some of those guys. For him to be out there in a black jersey, I think is real impressive. I'll look up who the third guy was.
Yeah, and I don't think culture buy-in has ever been a problem here. You're seeing more and more of that. I think the coaching staff, they failed in some areas. They've succeeded in some areas. It's still up for debate in other areas. But getting guys to buy in and work hard, that's not been a problem. So in some ways, I want to say that while it's encouraging, it's not surprising to see so many guys out there having a good offseason, having a good winter.
Ira, was it Malcolm Ray?
It was Malcolm Ray, Corey. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and by the way, Malcolm Ray's a guy that yesterday Adam Fuller mentioned on the show. And he's a guy that I thought at the end of last year kind of flashed. And I said, okay, they're getting something out of him. That's good to see. That's good. They've got depth up front there. That should be fun. I mean, Briggs will have to slim down some. He's still big. He's still a big dude out on the edge. But they have versatility there if he does. By the way, Adam Fuller, who said to me yesterday that Joshua Farmer was 300 pounds, wasn't lying, right? I mean, you saw him today. That's a big boy. I think they probably want him to slim down a little bit. But even if he gets down to 290, you got all that time through camp to do that. I mean, he's got size, and I know they love his upside.
Yeah, somebody told me they thought he'd probably play about 295.
Yeah.
And he's I mean, again, man, he's a guy that played defensive end in high school, real athletic, impressed a lot of the players last year, but they did redshirt him, as Coach Fuller said on the show yesterday, that was intentional. They only played him in 3 games because they wanted to redshirt him. And yeah, I think he's going to play in. He's got a chance to play into that rotation. Another guy that I think is going to play into the rotation on defensive line is Patrick Payton. He looks noticeably thicker than he did a year ago. He's really built out, and he's got great burst. So,
by the way, I mean, again, we have to keep with all the caveats because they got to play football. But today is a day where you just look at guys and see how they've improved, if they've gotten worse, so what the new guys look like. I don't know. I think it might have been from message boards. It might have just been certain assumptions. I was under the impression that A.J. Duffy was small. He's not small.
It's because I think there's been some posts on social media of him like different.
Next to Giants?
I guess so.
Next to Redwoods.
Yeah, he's not small.
No. I'm 6'1". He's an inch taller than me at least. He's thick too.
Tate Rodemaker's 6'4", and he's
right there standing with him.
I mean, he's an inch and a half, maybe shorter.
Yeah, no, he's put together too.
And he's thick.
Yeah. I went over and stood because I was at a distance looking at him, and I was like, wait, everybody told me A.J. Duffy's small. So I walked down there, stood next to him while he was doing a drill. I'm like, that guy's not that small. I mean, I'm not huge, but
he's not small at all.
He's not
Did
small.
you do any drills? Did you do any drills with him?
I didn't. I think I'm past that. I don't have to prove myself out there.
You don't. You proved it 25 years ago, 30 years ago.
I'm a veteran. It's been a time.
They've got to prove themselves to
That's
judge.
right. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
I'm judging them when I'm standing there in that moment, Corey, and they know it.
Hey, speaking of Caden Lyles, there's no doubt that he could kill us. He could kill us with his bare hands. He wouldn't need a weapon. What do you think is the quickest way he could kill one of us? Just squeezing the life out of us?
Yeah, probably bear hug or choking.
I'm the quickest.
Yeah.
You think you could bear hug someone to death?
Well, I think he can. Yeah, I'm not sure about you or me, but I think he can.
I couldn't.
He could bear hug somebody to death. He's huge and pretty. I mean, I want to overstretch the phrasing here, but the wording, but he's fairly athletic for his size too. He got out and moved. You were watching him. He was moving around. He's not like cumbersome. He's able to move for that size. I was really impressed with him. You know, while we're talking about the newer guys, I wonder, and we won't know until they start practice, until we see him in pads, until they start running routes. But I told you right from the jump that one of the most athletic guys that I saw out there was Spann.
Yeah. Deuce Spann.
If you watch Deuce Spann, I see why the coaches wanted to take a chance. Corey, I know, you and I rolled our eyes at a guy with 5 catches. You're like, well, we'll see. But when you look at him and you see the twitchiness, the length, the athleticism, he's a strong-looking kid and an athlete. I watched him run all of those drills. I don't know if he can play football, but if they get anything out of that athleticism, then they're going to get a surprise because he's kind of different than anybody else they have. He looks incredible. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, again, I'm not telling you he's going to be a star this year. He hasn't played a ton of receiver, but I'm anxious to watch him just looking at what I saw today with that length and athleticism.
Well, I think that's the takeaway. And I've kind of touched on earlier. And when I posted the updates, our observations from the freshmen and the transfers who came in on the message boards, one of the people that responded kind of sarcastically, responded because it's all sounds so positive. And it's like, well, that's what this time is. I mean, the fact that they're working hard, their bodies look better, which they should. I mean, none of this is like shocking.
Right.
This is year 3 of the program. They should be getting better players in. They went out and got 10 Division I transfers. Those guys look like they can play. The ones who are returning look in better shape and in better condition, or bigger, stronger than they did a year ago. If they didn't, that would be shocking. So none of this is like to say, oh, the program is completely turned around. You're going to win 10 or 11 games. It's just reporting on the improvement that we've seen, and it's there. Now, they had a long way to go. I mean, 2 years ago was shocking. The lack of talent. Last year was still not good.
And they're still not going to be elite
still not
with this
where
talent.
they need to be.
No.
And if you have a few injuries, to your point, there's not the depth. So if you have a couple of injuries, it could really knock you back.
Yeah, hold your breath. I mean,
the negative observations start on Saturday when spring practice starts, right? I mean, and I'm not being even facetious there. I mean, what could you see today that was negative? Yeah, kids. I guess kids growing up
or something like that, right? Yeah, no, you didn't see that. You saw guys that were invested, and you're right. This is a day where you're going to be excited because if guys work hard in the offseason, it shows. And then if you bring in more athletic, more gifted athletes through the transfer portal, when they arrive, you get excited about that. And there's no reason to be negative.
And there's a reason that Mike Norvell made this one open. It's the last main tour of duty.
Yeah.
Just like
guys
Jimbo Fisher
themselves.
Jimbo Fisher would let us in like the last fourth quarter drill. Just because, if we had gone out there a month and a half ago, it might not have been as positive.
This is a day, though, too. I know we have a lot of questions in the second hour, like we always do with headliner questions, but I'll get to some of these in the chat, too. People have been locked in right from the beginning. They're excited. And so there's been some questions there that we can touch on as well, because they're asking about segment groups and guys, and that's a good way for us to kind of go through and answer specific questions. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV. Simple. 2 words you don't hear many people use to describe their experience going through the process of getting a home loan. That's what puts the Hamilton Home Loans experience in a category all their own. If you're buying or refinancing a home, Hamilton Home Loans will provide a personalized mortgage experience that is dedicated to making the process refreshingly simple. It all begins with an initial consultation with an experienced Hamilton Home Loans advisor to find out what your goals are in order to find the right mortgage to suit your specific needs. Then, your personal home loan advisor will take you through all the steps from application, underwriting, approval, and closing, all the way to the front steps of your new home. Once you've experienced the Hamilton Home Loan process, you can be a customer for life and never have to pay lender fees again. For first responders, nurses, physician assistants, teachers, active and retired military, ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
It's time to save some money and fill your tummy. Text the word foodies to 850-230-9456 and win 10% off your first order at foodiestakeout.com from great local restaurants like Horizons Grill, El Jalisco, Jerry's Midtown Cafe, and many more. Text the word foodies to 230-9456. That's 230-9456. Join the Foodies Takeout family and text foodies to 230-9456 and win now.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Were you sold a lifetime of dream vacations only to get stuck in a timeshare with a lifetime of rising fees, point scams, and lies?
I was completely taken advantage of.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group, has been fighting and winning battles with timeshare companies for over a decade, canceling over 16,000 timeshares, resulting in $257 million of timeshare debt eliminated.
I believe that it's my job and my duty to help people out of their timeshare if they've been lied to and they've been done wrong.
If it wasn't for Wesley, I would be
broke. Wesley Financial Group has thousands of verified reviews, averaging 4.9 and 5 stars for a reason. They get results.
I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
For your free consultation and information kit, call now. 800-969-5511. 800-969-5511. That's 800-969-5511.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Several folks asking about running backs here today, and I'm we'll have to wait and see on that because Ira, you pointed out, you and I were just talking during the break. As far as running backs go, we're really excited to see Benson, but he wasn't participating.
Yeah, we didn't see him out there today. But there's Lawrence Stofili. It's good to see Lawrence Stofili running full speed again. Because and again, in these kinds of drills, I mentioned, Travis J. I mean, these drills really, I mean, you can get impressed by the lineman's size and just body development, but these drills, these agility drills, I mean, what they're doing is, they're doing shuttling, they're running between cones, they're
stop start.
Exactly, dropping to the ground, jumping back up. Just a lot of stop and start stuff. So the DBs, wide receivers, running backs look a lot better than anybody else. And, I think that Lawrence Stofili looked really good. Rodney Hill, the freshman, you could see his quickness and speed. I think hopefully during the spring, we'll get to see Trey Benson, the transfer from Oregon, and what he looks like. But Trayshawn Ward looked good. I mean, like he normally does.
He always looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly the best of the bunch, unless Benson surpasses him. It's Trayshawn Ward's room. He's the guy. Behind him, you'd like to see Toafili get bigger. I know he was hurt, so trying to add size is going to be tough. He's got to get bigger. He has speed, and he's capable of making big plays. But I don't know if there's a degree of consistency that you're going to get until he gets stronger. You can get asked about the best room in the building and the worst segment group in the building. I mean, I until tight ends prove something to me, I'm going to say they're the worst segment group time and again. Although sitting out there, they got 47 of them, first of all, and a few of them look like they can play. I mean, Cam McDonald's been here forever. He's always looked the part.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah, he looks great. Jackson West looks like he should be a player. Now, he had exactly 0 catches last year, so let's see if Jackson West emerges. He's got the temperament for it. He wants to beat your ass on and off the field.
He also, he wasn't going to get on the field last year a lot because they had Cam McDonald and Jordan Wilson.
Yeah.
But I think there's a chance he'll get on there a lot. I think Jackson West, man, he is a physical kid. He is
big, strong kid, man. He looks it.
And he likes to mix it up. I mean, we probably saw him get involved in
several
couple of things during practices last year. So I think he's a guy that can play. And then Brian Courtney, the freshman they signed, who was a quarterback in high school, I was kind of curious about how he projects as a tight end. And he looks like a tight end. I mean, he does not look like a quarterback. He's a big, solid kid.
Yeah, 230, 240, so he's a big enough kid. We'll see. That room's got a long way to go to prove itself, though. I think the offensive line has come the furthest in the last 2 years. It's not an elite group by any stretch, but this is the first time we're going to go into spring practice where I think you have a pretty good starting 5 and you have a little bit of rotation behind it. So 2 or 3 guys. Bless Harris is a big man who was plus athletic in terms of, he wasn't lumbering in a bad way. I mean, I think he's going to provide, my guess is that he'll provide some depth. They haven't had depth on the offensive line in a long time.
Darius Washington looked, really good, I thought. So, hey, Corey, so if going back to the running backs, though, if Trey Benson, if we don't see much of him this spring, or if we don't see, he is coming back from that injury, and if we don't see a lot of him, or he's not super impressive, and I like him. I think he's got a chance to be a really good player. But if we don't, do you think they've got to hit the portal and get another running back, or could you see them standing pat?
I mean, I could see him standing pat because you still have three, even if Benson doesn't work out or isn't healthy, you still got three Division I running backs, right? With Williams still on the team and Toafili and Ward. I just think there's bigger positions to address than going and getting a backup running back. You know what I mean? Go get a starting defensive end.
Yeah, I think I get the impression from Jeff's point is I think Jeff thinks they need to go out and get a featured running back.
I don't think they have a star on this roster at running back. I think Trayshawn Ward's the closest thing they got.
Oh, if there's one out there, sure, but I don't expect there to be one out there. It's not like quarterback. You know what I mean? Like where there's a battle for it. I wouldn't expect a feature running back to come into the portal. I would have thought that would have already happened by now.
Yeah, and
one of those comes, sure.
And I don't disagree with you, Corey. Like if I had my druthers and you said, "Hey, go get an offentive tackle,"
yeah, I wouldn't go get a running back for depth.
Yeah,
I think, but if
you can get a guy, I think about getting the guy.
But I think
at every single position on this team, it goes to that, right?
If you defensive back, I mean, I think they have more than enough defensive backs.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they don't.
But even a safety, if some ball hawking safety was on the market, you might be like, okay, he had 8 interceptions last year for Oregon State.
It would have to be.
It'd have to be like
superstar.
a can't miss. Yeah, because they're good there. They're good, and I liked what I saw coming in too. So you brought up McCall and those guys. They got talent at that position. I know we said a lot about that last year, and then they came out and they were the worst segment group on the field, and they gave up 4,000 points in the first 4 games. And we thought, what the hell were we looking at? Well, we saw them dominate a sorry receiving core, but I thought by the second half of the season they had actually kind of figured out who was what. They limited what they were asking those guys to do. That's what Fuller was talking about yesterday. And I thought they played pretty well in the second half of the season. I don't think we could deny that. I thought the secondary played pretty well in the second half of the season. They got those guys back.
They played what, 5 guys, mainly 5 or 6, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he said was the difference. Is he says it in a nice way, but essentially we stopped putting our backups in the game. We ran Jamie Robinson out there for 80 snaps.
Well,
Kevin Noles played 60 snaps.
Yeah, and they figured out who the best 5 were.
Yeah,
by moving him to safety and getting Noles on the field. But then later in the year, they put Marion Cooper in there. He played really well.
I love him.
Yeah,
and I thought Kevin Noles looked great today at the tour duty.
Knowles, Cooper, Robinson. Brownlee plays so hard. He's not an elite player. He's an average to a slightly above average player, but he's physical and he cares. And he knows what he's doing. Now, he'll get beat physically sometimes against the better receivers, but he knows what he's doing and he cares and he shows up. So they got guys they can trust in that secondary. Hey, we didn't mention linebackers. That's not going to be an incredibly deep group, but I thought Bethune looked the part too, and that was good to see. Obviously, we know how productive he was in college, so you get deeper there and you get a guy that's made a lot of tackles in big-time college football.
And Aslan mentioned this. I wasn't watching that group, but he said at the very end they were doing another drill where they had to do a lot of running and at the end of it, a lot of the players were struggling getting through that last drill. And he said Tatum Bethune was just powering through. I mean, just real, not only athletic, but the fact that he was, just the stamina, playing at that level.
Well, and he's got dog in him, man. You don't have that many tackles in college football without having instincts and toughness. He's 230 plus pounds, Miami Central, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, the dude can play. I think you're going to get something out of him. So right off the bat, a lot of production. So
he'll be invaluable to that group. They haven't been around a guy that I don't know if any of them have ever been around a guy that made 15 tackles in a game. And he's done it multiple times. He had like 18 in one game. Just like you talked about, that tenacity that comes with that. And I assume film study too, and instincts like that. That's invaluable to be around a guy like that in your room the whole time. Like that should make all those guys better.
And I think it was Kevin Steele. He didn't invent it. A lot of people have said it, but I just remember Kevin Steele saying it the first time from a coach here that I remember saying it was just, if you want to know who a good linebacker is, he's the guy at the bottom of a pile all the time, and Tatum Bethune seems like one of those guys.
Is there an area that I don't think until we see these guys put on the pads, other than what we're talking about body types and what the new guys look like and how there's not anything else really to highlight today after just watching them work out, other than the participation was where they wanted it to be, and they weren't really all that banged up. So they start camp in a good place.
They also had a staff edition, Corey. That
this is good news, actually. This is exciting.
Read about on warchant.com.
Why don't we save it?
Okay.
Tell everybody about this.
Nice.
I got excited about this. I don't know how I didn't see this. I was busy doing all this other stuff, Corey, covering for you. And
Thank you, man.
And Ira brought it up to me before the show. I think this is really good news. We'll tell everybody what that is in a moment here on Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
A Florida Highway Patrol trooper is recovering at the hospital after a truck crashed into his patrol car and an SUV Monday morning on I-10 in Okaloosa County. The 46-year-old trooper was on patrol on I-10 when he noticed a white SUV abandoned on the side of the road. The trooper parked his patrol car behind the SUV, activating his emergency lights to investigate it. A 40-year-old man was driving a truck eastbound on I-10 around 11:30 a.m. when he swerved off the roadway, sideswiping both patrol car and the SUV. The trooper was taken to the Fort Walton Medical Hospital with serious injuries, but he is currently in good spirits and has his family as well as fellow troopers by his side. Charges are currently pending for the truck driver. 2 people were killed in a Brooks County fire. The fire occurred on Bartow Drive in Quitman around 1:30 a.m. on Thursday, February 24th. The fire totally destroyed the 82-year-old 1,300 square foot home. First responders located 2 deceased victims upon extinguishing the fire. The cause is still under investigation. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly sunny this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 73. Northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight. Lows level off around 43. Clear skies and quiet again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 77. Highs around 80 Thursday under mainly clear skies. 81 Friday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 70.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
It's Congressman Michael Waltz on the Greg Tish Show.
Good morning, Congressman. How are you doing?
Hey, doing well.
Again, just what you have to go through day in and day out. I don't know how you have hair left, or like Matty Rowe, just completely bald. Hey! Sorry.
And the irony of it all, the progressives are the tail wagging the dog. This whole bipartisan White House is a joke. We're just watching them eat their own.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines is brought to you by Register Sausage, serving the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. To find a store near you or to buy directly from Registers, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
All right, Ira, your time to shine. You did the legwork on this. Florida State has added to its off-the-field support staff, story you can read on warchant.com. And they bring in a former NFL and college assistant and FCS head coach. That's a guy with vast experience. You'll recognize the name, those of you out there familiar with the NFL. But if you just think about adding analysts and guys that help scout, this is a big name.
Yeah, John Garrett, who was actually Jason Garrett's brother, and also Judd Garrett. That's the other brother. I don't know. We don't know much
lonely
about
at
Judd.
Thanksgiving. Everybody's like, "What do you ever do, Judd?"
I think Judd was in Taxi. I think he was in the show Taxi in the late 70s.
But
that's Judd Hirsch. But good.
Oh, my bad.
You're working, baby. I see you working.
But anyway, John Garrett was the head coach the last 5 years. He's been the head coach at Lafayette College, which is an FCS school. Before that, he was OC at Richmond and Oregon State. He's coached for the Bucks. He coached wide receivers of the Bucks in 2013. He's coached for Cowboys. On his brother's staff. He's coached at Virginia back in the mid 2000s. So anyway, he's got close to 30 years of NFL and college coaching experience. He's joined the staff according to his Twitter bio. FSU hasn't announced the hiring yet. I just happened to see him and ask around and then find out who it was. And then on his Twitter bio, he has his title as director of scouting for offense. So, and he's always been an offensive coach. So I think the scouting is not recruiting, but more of maybe scouting upcoming opponents in an analyst role, which, man, we've heard since the end of last season that FSU is stepping up to add more positions on the staff. This is another new position, and I think it shows an investment in a guy who, man, he's been an FCS head coach, now as an analyst on your staff.
Well, and Corey, I know that you and I will be on the same page here. I don't care whether he's allowed to coach anybody or not as an analyst. I'll tell you that he also coached Jason Witten to a bunch of Pro Bowls when he was in Dallas. So that tight end room that we have a problem with could use a little tutelage from time to time, even if it's in that secret back room. Something's got to happen.
I'm sure it was all him. I'm sure it was him.
Well,
That's like,
Jason Witten didn't have any ability really until Garrett got there.
He struggled at Tennessee. He barely played at Tennessee.
The guy was a nobody, and then this guy comes along, and look at this. He's left and right going to the Pro Bowl.
Was it Brewster? Somebody that coached here, like Coach Tony Gonzalez or something.
No, I think it was Antonio Gates.
Okay.
That was the first. That was basically the first word of his resume. Antonio Gates was. I coached him. Remember that guy, Antonio Gates? I coached him.
Well, anyhow, Garrett did coach a guy who had a lot of ability, but he got the most out of him. That's the point, Ira. He got the most out of Jason Garrett. I mean, not Jason Garrett. Excuse me, Jason Witten. So anyhow, that's good. But that is good. You're right. That shows investment. They need more of those. A lot more of those.
Well, they've recently added Corey Fuller's on the staff now, who's out there today as the director of football relations. The Kewan Ratliff had joined the staff as assistant director of high school relations. They hired the new general manager of personnel. So they've added several new positions. I did funny about the Kewan Ratliff hire that was pretty funny. I was talking to texting with Tony Carter because I'm going to do a story on him. Tony Carter, the former FSU DB, is now coaching at Southern Illinois, and we've been playing phone tag to do a story on him. And I said, I need you to come on and do a Zoom. And I said, I want you to talk a little bit about what you've seen now out of the current Noles. And he said, he goes, yeah, I can make fun of them I can rip them for hiring a bunch of former Gators. It's like, it's one guy, man.
Yeah, but he didn't take kindly, did he?
He was not fired up about it.
And Randy Shannon's a former Cane.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right. We got to do what we got to do to win some games around here. So as long as they're cheating for Florida State, that's all I care.
I love those titles. I love
coaching them up.
And I love the titles too. They sound like when I joined Warchant, we didn't have a name for what I was going to be. Like I wasn't the editor. That was Ira. I didn't want to be an assistant to Ira. So I'm like, I'm not assistant editor, no chance.
You could have been my assistant.
So we say our assistant editor, assistant to the editor. So we settled on, I don't even know what I am. Am I a senior
You're
writer?
A senior writer. For some reason, Aslan always wants to call you lead and senior writer.
Yeah, but I think I might have been.
I just call him Corey Clark. I don't ever call any of you guys by your title.
I mean, if you read,
weird if you did.
If you read other publications, usually senior writer establishes kind of like the top writer on the staff. That's not an editor.
If you watch today's video,
we're trying to give you some respect, but you guys want to change to lead writer, which sounds like a lead cook at Wendy's.
Hey, man,
Wendy's.
put in his
Not
time.
that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, all those titles that Ira was just ripping off for Ratliff and Corey Fuller, it's like they just want them on staff in some capacity. Let's give them a name that sounds pretty important.
Yeah,
let's give him a title.
Corey's director of football relations. Corey Fuller's director of football relations. It's like the high school relations ones I get. I don't really get football relations.
Director of football relations for Corey Fuller is we're bringing you in to clean up this damn defensive back room. That's what I looked at that as.
That's what you're directed to do.
You're directed to get this defensive back room together. Damn it. And he's motivational. So
he's definitely motivational.
Yeah, and he cares deeply about Florida State. So there you go. You get that guy who cares deeply, was an awesome defensive back himself, can clean up that room and get guys dedicated. Not everybody needs that, but there's some guys in that room that maybe we can still get something out of. That is the hope.
How do you think, and I guess it's different for Odell because Odell's been here for every step of it. So he knows how it's gotten to this point, certainly how it got to the point last year and the year before. He was not happy. What was happening at the end of Jimbo's tenure, he was not happy with what happened under Willie's tenure. He's seen it happen, though. If you're a guy like Corey Fuller that hasn't really been around FSU day in and day out, he's been around. He's been coaching in Tallahassee and in Quincy, so he's been around. But if you haven't been there day in and day out, and then you just get thrust in there as an everyday coach, that's got to be a little, I don't know, would it make you frustrated or heartbroken a little bit that it's because we're talking about how much progress there's been made, but they're still so far away from what it was when he played.
I think it's just you would look at it. I mean, knowing the way he views every day and the way he talks about every day, he would see it as an opportunity to make a difference for the program he loves the most. Like, I think that's the way you'd have to look at it. Yeah, we can all see that this program is not where it needs to be, and he certainly can see that. But anyway, given the chance to coach kids up, he's passionate as all hell. He understands the game, and he can speak from experience of what this place is like when it's humming.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you would just have to look at it as a hell of an opportunity, even if you just mold a few of these guys and get them on the right track. You're not going to get everybody. You're not going to save everybody, but you can get guys locked in with a few words of wisdom, and I'm sure he looks at it that way.
Well, and he'll have a chance to direct football relations like football relations has never been directed before around here.
In fact, ever, because they never had that position before.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be incredible. He's breaking the mold. He gets to create the blueprint for what this job is.
What titles do you think they come up with at Alabama for their 76 staff members? Assistant to the assistant of director of football relations?
number 4.
I think they're like a cast of like extras. Like they just label them like restaurant customer number 3, restaurant customer number 4, like just offensive analyst number 6, offensive analyst number 11.
DuBois number 6, Saban would like to see you in his office later today. He wasn't pleased with that Troy preview you came together. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't really care what we call those guys, just so long as we have an abundance of them and they're organized. It seems that's the way of the world if you want to compete at the highest level anymore. And that's what you saw all the new hires in college football, and in particular at Florida. They want to have a legion of analysts.
Well, hell, this is a guy that literally you would not, if you hired an FCS head coach who's been an offensive coordinator at Oregon State 2 years ago or 7 years ago, has coached position coach in the NFL for years. If you hired him as a position coach, you'd be like, all right, good hire.
Yeah.
They bring him in as an analyst for a position that we've never even heard of before.
Yeah, so he's with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was an offensive assistant, receivers coach, tight ends coach, served as a quarterback coach with the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
There's a lot of NFL experience. Nobody's going to be upset with that. I mean, nobody's going to question whether or not man knows the game.
It's kind of the first one of those they've had, right? Where they usually their offensive analysts are guys that are coming up, not Alabama guys that have done it before. And this guy's done it for 30 years.
Somebody on the chat asked the question, how much influence would Michael Alford have on analyst positions? Other than okaying the money, I wouldn't think any.
Right. And that, in terms of who they hire, probably very little, unless he happens to. Unless and the only thing would be if he had to happen during his time at Oklahoma or his time at Alabama,
he knew somebody,
that he knew somebody and said, hey, you might want to look at him.
Or if they tried to hire Art Briles.
Then maybe.
I got to step in here, guys.
He might have an opinion.
Yeah.
But no, the bigger thing is that this administration, Michael Alford going up to, President McCullough, Peter Collins, who's the chair of the board of trustees, they have made this commitment to expand the staff. They've looked at, they have the data. They know exactly how many staff members and how much the salaries are, the total salary package at all of these other schools that Florida State wants to be at. And Florida State has been far down on that list for a lot of reasons, but they're trying to make up that ground.
Yeah, and as far as assistant coaches go, like coordinators and stuff, Florida State's paid. They've done a good job with that. But you're right. In terms of sheer size and numbers and all of that, yes, they're looking to add. I also think they understand we're at critical mass. This is the reason we're so excited about talking about today, spring football, the upcoming season. Everybody's got an opinion on this. Everybody is watching very, very closely. This is a massive season for this staff. For Mike Norvell, there's no getting around it. Florida State has to show tangible growth. We have to see in the fall, and you're hoping that the impetus for that is a great spring. We have to see appreciable difference in play and possibilities of 8-9 wins, something along those lines, to keep this from being a situation where we're just playing out the string.
Well, in the future, for the future of Florida State football.
Yes, because if you have to start over again, just think about how much further back you're going to fall. I mean, everybody shudders at the idea of having to reset this thing.
Now, I would say that even if something happened, even if something, just things went poorly, injuries, whatever, and over the next year or two, it doesn't get to where it needs to be, and they had to make a change, the program would be in much better shape for a new coaching staff to come in. They wouldn't be starting at ground zero the way Mike Norvell was.
Right, but you still would be resetting, and you lose players, and the way that early recruit, the signing period, it's death when you make that change. Oh Lord, there's no way around it. So let's just hope that we're not talking about
but
that.
That's why it's good that Florida State is trying to get behind him and make it work.
Yeah, got to. You really don't have another choice. It's either invest now or spend more money later and start over. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Bernardo Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Bernardo Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at BernardoAC.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
This is an insurance market alert from Barbara at Faircloth Insurance in Tallahassee. A few months ago, I asked you to contact your legislators to help stop the skyrocketing property insurance rates in Florida. Other states average 2 lawsuits per day on property insurance claims. Florida has 384 per day. The property owners of Florida are being taken advantage of, but it is not by the insurance companies. The companies are paying out 10 times the cost of a claim or more that would have been paid anyway. People are canvassing neighborhoods, knocking on doors, suggesting that the property owner may have some damage. The property owner innocently signs something that turns all control of any claim settlement to an attorney that becomes the person designated to get the claim check and who controls the disbursement of the claim payment. If we want these rates to go down, we must reach out to our legislators and let them know how unaffordable home insurance has become and that we want them to support reform that will fix the issues. This has been an insurance market alert from Barbara at Faircloth Insurance in Tallahassee.
That dinner was delicious. What's next?
I'm thinking just the check.
Do you frequently have gas, bloating, diarrhea, stomach pain, or loose oily stools after eating? One or more of these symptoms could be a sign of exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, and it may be time to talk to your doctor.
If you have EPI, Creon may be right for you. Creon, pancrelipase, is an oral prescription medication that treats EPI. Creon replaces enzymes you may be missing to help you break down food properly.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosis colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Do not chew capsules or contents as this may cause mouth irritation. Tell your doctor if you have unusual or severe stomach pain, bloating, trouble passing stool, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, worsening of painful swollen joints, or allergic reactions. Other side effects may include changes in blood sugars, gas, dizziness, or sore throat and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Talk to your doctor about Creon, the #1 prescribed EPI treatment, and visit gocreon.com. That's GOCREON.com. Or call 1-800-633-9110.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Headliner questions to start the next hour, of which we'll have several, obviously. But wrapping up this hour, kind of just talking about the first of many days where we'll have opportunities to provide content for you guys on Warchant.com, Warchant TV. We've done the position previews, but we're gleaning more information every day, and so hopefully, cross our fingers that it's a great spring. I can't really wait till this Saturday until we start seeing these receivers. I keep coming back to that. I really want to see what Wilson is, and then I talked about at the beginning of this hour, Span, those guys. I'm really excited.
Johnny Wilson also, Corey, you see him in person, you're gonna be like, all right, because that dude I guess he's 6'7".
He should be tight end. I don't think he moves fluidly enough to be like a big time receiver. I'll just say that now. You can see why he'd be a good blocker, and
but you can see why he could be
he's a matchup problem.
Red zone target.
Oh,
for sure.
Without question. He's huge, Corey. When you see him, he's a lot big. I know we all see what he's listed at, and we watch video. When you stand there and see him, he's huge.
And he's got real long arms. I mean, he's just
it's insane. Goes on for days.
Yeah, his catch radius is nuts.
I can't believe we've gone 52 minutes and you haven't mentioned Tony Bennett once. Like, Tony Bennett hasn't even come up.
So we talked about it yesterday on the Jeff Cameron show.
Nobody's listening to that anymore, guys. They're all coming to the headlines. That's it.
Also the Sunday Smash, Corey. I know you watched that, right?
Oh, that's true.
So
I missed that. How'd it go?
So not only did we really document play for play, blow by blow, final 2:15, and have great laughter at the expense of Tony Bennett, then we did it again on Monday's show. So, Corey, you couldn't be more off base with you.
But I mean, I wasn't a part of that. It's the three of us. The magic.
It didn't happen if you weren't a part of it.
The magic is the three of us together, gang.
Yeah.
Well, look, y'all talk about the football games on Sunday Smash, and then y'all talk about the football games on Monday. So are Seminole headlines in October? We just going to talk about movies?
That's fair. All right.
We still bring it up.
You don't have to encourage me to make fun of Tony Bennett losing a game that he led by 9 points with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. You know,
I told Aslan that's got to be the worst loss of his career, other than losing to a 16 seed.
Yeah,
considering what was at stake and who would he? No, he's never topping that one. But who he was playing, what was at stake, where it was played, the lead with 2 minutes to go. That's crazy. They lost that game.
It's inconceivable that they did. I mean, and they had,
but it happened, and I've watched it 50 times. I watched it again yesterday. I keep watching it over and over and over again.
I was going to say what's really cool about the highlight. Number one, Prieto's arms go in the air before the ball even gets to the basket. Like he can tell from his vantage point, oh, this might go in.
Looks good.
And then if you watch the highlight after the shot, Hamilton does nothing. Hamilton just stands there
cool,
like, yeah, this
calm,
is
and collected. He's like
Prieto runs over to Stan Jones and gives him a bear hug. Which makes me think that Stan Jones might have been the one that designed that play.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it worked and trusted Prieto to make that throw, and it worked perfectly. It was an incredible pass.
The thing is, and Coach Hamilton talked about it, it's not like it was a design play just to spring Matthew Cleveland open. There's like 3 reads. I mean, he's like playing quarterback.
Yeah. He runs the baseline, first of all.
And then waits for the dude to fall, the 6'11" dude. This is pretty funny. I don't know if I told you guys this. I don't know if I told you, Corey. But I tweeted that night. I was like, really impressive that Prieto waited. 6'11" guy jumps in his face. He kind of pump fakes.
Yeah.
Waits for him to come down, then throws it over him to get the clear shot to Matthew Cleveland. So I tweeted that, smart of him for gravity to bring the guy down to earth. So Prieto sends me a DM with the mathematical equation for gravity.
That's funny.
Only a grad student.
He had it in his head. Yeah. The weatherman knew exactly what was going to happen there. Well, I thought the running to the baseline to create space right from the beginning was obviously smart. Now, none of this matters if the shot doesn't go in, so credit to Matthew Cleveland for making the damn shot.
But also, man, all in the 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and
everything had to go right.
Yeah, I broke this down on the site. They scored 6 times in 2 minutes 15 seconds against Virginia, and the average time of those possessions was like 7 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was quick.
Yeah, it was quick. Virginia?
Yeah. Matthew Cleveland, when he's hitting shots, is really, really hard to guard one-on-one.
Worley had a runner. Raekwon Evans.
I think Fletcher might have had one too, where he drove baseline. That might have been earlier, but Raekwon had one. Man, that was just that was crazy. And I don't think I've ever yelled louder than that watching a game when he hit that shot, other than earlier in the game when he didn't drop off the pass for what would have been a dunk.
That was not good.
I literally yelled at the TV there too. So it was good that Cleveland came back and had an all-time great moment. That was awesome.
Was funny because Cleveland gets a steal, and he's running the court, and if he just leaves it off for Cameron Fletcher, it's a dunk. Instead, he gets fouled trying to get the 3-point play,
and he can't make free throws.
Throws an air ball in the second free throw. Doesn't make either free throw.
Yeah.
And so I texted Corey about it at the time. And then, I look on Twitter, and Corey tweeted basically the same thing I had texted him, and I'm like, "Come on, Corey, you can steal my
stuff."
I didn't see the text, Ira. It was two great minds thinking the same thing.
I'm sure.
By the way, did y'all see?
It was an obvious point.
Yes,
it was pretty obvious. Yeah. Did y'all see the post game press conference with Tony Bennett?
No,
I did not.
Ira, you would love it.
How did you not go
I went on
that?
YouTube to find it, and I couldn't find it.
Ira, you would love it. He's obviously devastated.
It was on their site because I didn't find it on YouTube.
It was I think it's on their official website.
I will be doing that this afternoon.
But he was asked, he was devastated clearly, and he was trying to have a smile, but he was devastated. And then one of the reporters asked him, "If you guys got an NIT bid, would you accept it?" Which is just a crazy thing to ask in that moment. And Tony Bennett almost loses his mind and he says something like, "That's a really odd time for you to ask me a question like that. That's a tough question right now for basically pointed." But he's like, "I'm not even thinking about right now." He almost was like, "I can't believe you just asked me that. But I'm not thinking about that right now," which was just, it was crazy that he did that.
Khalil Young, thank you for your contribution. He writes that he heard Greene, McCall, Washington, Zaire Thomas had good days, which I'm happy to hear. Hint on who wore the orange jersey, offense or defense. Oh boy. You want to hint it out there? It's the guy that's worn it before.
We'll say defense, but not a not a starter.
Not a key member of that group. We'll just put it that way.
Young man that's got some talent, but
Can't get out of his own way.
Maybe.
Yeah, it seems like he can't get out of his own way. So, yeah. But, hey, listen, that's all right. They've got 25 guys back there. We're going to be all right. So I'll just put it that way. In the waning minute that we have here, I can say this makes a return based on that win. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but could very well be that the NIT trolley is right there for us. I didn't even think we were going to make the NIT there for a stretch. So
the trolley had broken down.
Yeah.
They had to get some parts in.
He made his way over to Tony Bennett's house right after this game. It was like, good to see you, Tony. Smoke him if you got him, buddy. You're joining us. You might play Florida State again in the NIT, buddy. That was the best part because it was senior day.
Oh, man. I mean, I just can't. They had a possession with about, I guess, like just over a minute to go. It had gotten down to 4. And they had a possession where they end up launching a 3 with,
Yeah,
I mean, it
just
was just
asinine.
ridiculous. I mean, they played so poorly.
Almost like they were poorly coached. Hour number 2, fourth coming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show. No, that's not what this is. It's Seminole Headline.
Holy crap.
Wait, first time in like how many years?
Corey, let's walk.
Oh, come on, guys. I'm up against the break.
More of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The massive convoy of Russian tanks and armored vehicles heading for the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv is far bigger than initially thought, with satellite images showing it occupying much of a 40-mile stretch of road. It was no more than 17 miles from central Kyiv on Monday. Gas prices higher, experts pointing to the invasion of Ukraine as a main reason. Rita Foley has more.
Gas is about $3.62 a gallon today, up almost 9 cents from a week ago. The AAA says Russia's violent invasion of Ukraine upset the oil market, leading to higher prices at the pump. Andrew Gross, a AAA spokesman, calls the situation in Ukraine explosive and a grim reminder, he says, that events on the far side of the globe can have a ripple effect for American consumers. By the way, a year ago, gas was about 90 cents a gallon cheaper. I'm Rita Foley.
Also at townhall.com, foreign policy will be a bigger section of President Biden's State of the Union address tonight. It'd be more than previously planned. Greg Cluxton has the report.
National security is always featured in State of the Union speeches, but given Russia's invasion of Ukraine, White House spokesman Jen Psaki said tonight's address will have more of it than usual.
The president will lay out the efforts he has led on to rally the world to stand up for democracy and against Russian aggression.
She said the president would also highlight America's military and economic assistance to Ukraine. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Polls are open in Texas for the nation's first primary of the 2022 midterm elections, voters picking nominees for governor, congressional seats, and more. On Wall Street, the Dow off 753 points. The S&P is down 81. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm cute kid number 1. And I'm cute kid number 2. And we have been forced, you mean hired? We have been hired to tell you what direct lender FOMO is. So let's say you buy a new home and maybe you use one of those big mortgage monsters. Or someone your realtor or friend recommends. And then a few months later, you hear us being forced, hired to tell you about our mortgage team's direct lender advantage. And then you feel like you missed out because you probably did miss out. And that is direct lender FOMO.
It's Ryan, and our mortgage team is an arm of a bigger company who is a direct lender, which means our company gets to use its own money and make its own decisions within its own walls. There's no middleman. This often allows us to get you a better rate on that new home mortgage, saving you monthly and lifelong money. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Faith Mortgage is a DBA of United Mortgage Corp. 25 Melville Park Road, Melville, New York. Licensed mortgage banker. For all licensing information, go to NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Corporate NMLS number 1330. Bracket NMLS number 65233. Equal housing lender. Licensed in Alaska, Hawaii, Georgia, Massachusetts, North Dakota, South Dakota, or Utah.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be. A boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Headliner questions forthcoming. First, thank you, Dr. Birch.
Thanks for all you do.
Birch Orthodontics. I got an appointment. I got a text from my wife yesterday. I should look and see. I'm taking Clark up there again. We're getting it ramped up. It's time. It's time. Well, Bryce is almost out, and Clark's about to officially be in. So we may have one more tooth to pull. That poor youngin'. I'll tell you what, my youngest, he's old snaggly tooth Clark. He's got some issues, man. We tough times, but he's handled it like a champion. And thanks to the care of Birch Orthodontics, they're going to have them all straight. So that's good.
Yeah, if you need any orthodontic work or your kids, birchorthodontics.com is the website. They have free consultations. That's where it all started, man. Like when our oldest needed braces, and actually we thought she needed more than that. But when we first went in for the first time, we went into several different orthodontists and didn't find one we really liked.
You were shopping around.
Sat down with Dr. Birch and her staff and just were blown away just how good they were. And Molly felt great about it. That was the big thing. And so you can have that experience as well. And like I said, braces can be pricey, but they can make it affordable with their payment plans. And they have Invisalign, all the latest technology. We definitely hope you support birchorthodontics.com.
All right, let's get to some questions here. There's some good ones, and I know a lot of people are excited now that basically we're starting camp here. Will Mike Norvell take another transfer linebacker or quarterback after spring practice? Also tell Corey bottled water and plain yogurt for a month should help him out with his stomach.
How's the vodka going, Corey?
It's going all right, Ira. I know, number one, no hangovers. I don't like it enough to get like too tipsy because I just don't like the taste of vodka. So I drink it slower. I kind of savor it a little bit,
right.
And it's changed my life. I'm not going to eat yogurt. I hate yogurt. I've tried it. It's disgusting. But I have not always bottled water, but water with a little bit of flavor. That's what I'm going for now.
The flavor being vodka?
No, I was talking about the vitamin water. I'm doing vitamin water. Sorry, yeah, you can't see me, but I'm doing vitamin water.
There are very few things like raisin toast and maybe one other thing that I like more than yogurt. Yogurt's delicious. It's incredible. This guy.
How about the Greek yogurt?
Love all of them. There's never been a yogurt I don't like.
I like
every yogurt ever.
The yogurts that have a lot of processed sugar.
Oh, no.
Those are good.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I'll eat like TCBY. Do they still have those things? I love that yogurt.
To answer the question, will he take a linebacker or a quarterback? I think he would take a quarterback if it was the right situation. We've talked about that before. And then I don't know about linebacker. I think they feel like they're comfortable there. I'm not as comfortable as they are, but to answer your question, I'm not so sure about linebacker.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're not going to recruit over Tatum Bethune,
but you could grab another guy.
You could
if there's somebody out there.
But you returned basically your top 4 or 5 linebackers. You brought in Tatum Bethune. I don't think that's going to be a high priority, but man, like we said with running back, if you found the right guy,
and running back, if you found a dynamic running back, I mean, of course that's a big if, but yeah, I would definitely do that. I don't think they have a difference maker at running back.
And I think Benson's going to be a nice addition. We didn't get to see him. I think when we get to see him, I think that might change our opinion a little bit.
Christopher writes, was it the FSU coaching staff that made Jermaine Johnson the beast that he is, a potential first-round draft pick?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Just like old John, Garrett.
Yeah.
Made Jason
Witten, yeah.
Was Jermaine always this guy? No. Did he need to step out of the starting UGA defensive line shadow to get the spotlight? Yeah, probably. Would he have emerged the player he became here at Georgia? No. All right, so I think I answered every one of those the way you guys would have answered those, but let's go ahead and illuminate that a little bit more. Let's just say this. Okay, look, Jermaine Johnson came here built like an NFL football player. All of us, the second we laid eyes on him, upon his arrival went, oh, that's different. FSU doesn't have a single player on the roster that looks like that. That was the very first thing I said upon seeing him. Then you had a guy who was extremely motivated. It was a money year. He knew he could change his life. He was mature and focused. He'd been through things. Junior college, his trek to Tallahassee had taught him an awful lot. I want to also say, I don't think, and Corey, you correct me if I'm wrong, you probably know more about this given your Georgia background, but I don't think Georgia, and I think it's reasonable to say this, knew what they had, or they would not have just said, yeah, by all means, go ahead, take it on down the road. Like Jermaine Johnson, I think could have legitimately been in that rotation last year for Georgia, given the way he played here. He was that good.
Oh, yeah, man. I think there's a chance he would have started. But it's not like they said, it's not like Kirby was okay with that. Kirby wanted him to stay.
And he was in the rotation the year before.
Yeah, he was in the rotation the year before. Like he just wasn't a starter. He was getting, pass down reps. But he wanted to prove he was an every down player, and he certainly did that. But no, Georgia wasn't. That was a big loss for them. Clearly not that big. They ended up being okay without him, and the defense
worked out all right.
But in the spring, when it happened, Kirby was not happy with that. That was not one of those guys where you're like, okay, just go. I hope you go shine somewhere else. Jermaine was a part of their plans, and he took it on down to Tallahassee.
And thank goodness he did. And they got extremely lucky. Look, first of all, they recognized he's a good player. But the maturity level and the willingness to take on the responsibility that Mike Norvell asked of him beyond his playing prowess is what makes him special. We can tell the story right now. So today, Coach Storms talked about the squat party, right, that Caden Lyles won. And that squat party is extremely vocal, interactive. It's got
the word party in it for a reason.
It's a good time, but they're doing some work, and you're cheering on your brothers, and there's adrenaline and everything else. And so it's so cool to find out that Jermaine Johnson FaceTimes Amari Gaynor while that's going on, so he can see the new guys and the guys that he played with and how much growth that they've had to encourage them as well. So Jermaine Johnson is preparing to possibly go in the first 15 picks of this draft. And my man
in the combine starting this week. Yeah.
And my man is FaceTiming Amari Gaynor. He only played here a year. He's FaceTiming Amari Gaynor to see how this group is doing and to encourage them during the squat party. He's a special kid, man.
And so people understand, Josh Storms did say the only time he ever lets players bring phones in the weight room is for the squat party. Because of that, they like to do that kind of thing. But the other thing I'd say about Jermaine is, back to his question, to his or her question to start with, is it was a perfect storm. It was a perfect moment, because I think one more thing that kind of elevated Jermaine Johnson's growth, and I think you touched on it, was the opportunity to be a leader. Like when he went in the portal, Mike Norvell started hitting him up right away, and he wouldn't even take Mike Norvell's calls. He was like, I'm not going to Florida State. Why would I go to Florida State? But that was kind of one of the things he pitched him on was, man, you can come in and teach these guys and lead them. And then he really embraced that. He never would have had that opportunity at Georgia. And sometimes when you get a chance to be a leader, it brings out more of you than maybe you would have even seen otherwise.
I think it takes an awful lot to take that on, too, because if you've never been, you don't know if you can be. You don't know how successful you're going to be. You're just trying to get to the league. You'd like to win a championship along the way. So I'm sure you're looking at programs that are high profile with a chance to win a championship and get you to the NFL. And then Mike Norvell's persistence and also the way that he's challenged him. I'm not going to tell you everything you want to hear. I'm going to make you better. You're going to have to work. Oh, obviously, you bring something to the table, I wouldn't be talking to you. But you have a chance to come in here, and I'm going to push you to be a better player. That's a special guy, and they've been able to do that in the transfer portal. Frankly, it's saved this program, and they haven't been great anyhow. Imagine if they had not gotten Kier Thomas. Imagine if they had not gotten Jermaine Johnson. Jamie Robinson. I mean, they've been able to bring in guys that have accepted those challenges. It's really kind of saved their ass to some degree, or they would have been even worse. And they're going to have to continue to do that until they can get this roster with the kind of depth, talent-wise, that they need. I mean, they still have a ways to go.
When are we going to do our own squat party?
Oh, I'm all in, buddy. Let's go.
And then we have
he may shoot out to the side when it happens, and you may have to call an ambulance.
Yeah, well, that's part of the joy of people. That's why people are going to watch it.
That's the risk you take.
Gene's going to be like, why do I have 4 workers' comp?
Gene's going to be a part of it. We're all doing it. It's going to be a Warchant squat party.
Tony writes, I'd like to know if they're moving Travis J. You and everybody else, Tony. Seems defensive back is crowded after the interview with Fuller, maybe some type of just athlete on offense. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they'd love, obviously, Travis J to somehow have the light bulb go off while he's here in Tallahassee, because you get this sinking feeling that if it doesn't happen and he goes somewhere else, you're going to be flipping channels one day and you're like, son of a bitch. Travis Bay's out here with 3 picks. Yeah, you're going to see it somewhere else. And sometimes, and I'm not advocating this, but sometimes a change of scenery is what a kid does need. And I don't know, but they haven't been able to get a thing out of him.
He does, man. He does impress you. It's hard to tell based on what we saw today.
But every time you see him, you're like,
no, I'm saying it didn't look like he was with. It looked like he was with the DBs. Yeah, so I don't think they made a change yet. I think if they did, maybe it could happen in the spring. I mean, a lot of us think it would make sense to maybe see him at wide receiver, or even like a utility back or something. But as of now, that hasn't changed. But
maybe tight end. Maybe throw him in the tight end room. Get you another one of those.
If Bobby Bowden were still here, alive and coaching, we'd run at least 2 reverses a game to that guy. And I'm advocating for that. Can we get this guy on a reverse something? Let's go to Roger, who writes, good morning. Do you guys remember 2014 when we moved Cam Irving to center? Wow, what a difference that made. I'm just saying the acquisition Wisconsin player could be underrated. Yay, sausage.
Caden Lyles.
Yeah, Caden Lyles is, you and I walked away. I think everybody did. That's a grown man.
Corey, the difference, and I know, we pointed out that maybe you weren't driving the Dylan Gibbons train, probably.
Sure.
But once you saw it, like once you saw him early last season pulling and moving people, like you were like, okay. I mean,
he muttered under his breath, I can't believe I'm going to have to acquiesce to what Jeff and Ira had to say.
But after seeing that, now imagine that plus Caden Lyles, who's, dude, he reminds me of like Montre Holland or somebody. I'm trying to think of the guys back in the days that were just big road graders.
We were good.
And
but the difference, and we're not relitigating this, is that Lyles had, he started like 15 or 16 games at Wisconsin. So he's already proven himself. And then he goes and wins the squat party.
I'm not making that point. My point was, the point I was trying to make was, now you have 2 guys who could be like that. 2 Big Ten type interior offensive linemen. That changes your line.
Which is 2 more than you've had in 7 years.
So his question, I mean, it does.
Yeah.
It changes what you might be able to do on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Corey correctly points out, if he does nothing else, he has won the squad party.
He did win the squad
party. Eric has, as always, donated and thanked us. And best time of sports year, Seminole headliners, March Madness, Players Championship, Masters, spring football. Can't wait to be in Tallahassee for the spring game. Go Noles. Well, thanks, Eric. It'll be good to have you here. And as always, we'll see you and we'll toast and have a good time. And everybody will make their way over to the stadium. I'm looking forward to it as well.
It is in baseball maybe
they may save themselves. It's about to happen. They may.
Let's hope. We'll see. But so right around April, man, the start of April is like the all-time best sports moment.
Old buddy of mine, Burke, writes, I'm happy Lulu has found his perfect fit as Florida State's radio announcer. Rest in peace, Lee Bowen. Have any of you thought about or done, by the way, he wrote that. I would say that as well. He's my first boss. Yeah. Have any of you thought about or done play-by-play? What sport would you consider would fit your personalities? I've done some baseball play-by-play, and I have thought about that. Eric does a great job, and he's a dear friend, so I'm not advocating that. But if he ever needs me to fill in, I will. I get occasionally, this is arrogant, I don't mean it to be, occasionally asked if I'd have any interest someday down the road, if the great one, Gene Deckerhoff, calls it a day. But Tom Block is perfect for that, so I don't even aspire to something like that.
Corey, what about you? You'd be a quality play-by-play. It would be funny to hear. I think, you know what? I would pay to hear you broadcast like a Braves game, or even
he couldn't do it. They'd get to the playoffs and he'd have to recuse himself.
Checking Twitter, it's just dead air for 5 innings. Until I check Twitter again,
I'd have to jump in and be like, "Well, my partner's in the corner in the fetal position. We're tied at 2 here in the 7th."
Yeah, I would. That's what I wanted to do growing up, was be a baseball play-by-play guy. I think I'd be all right at it. I think I'd probably be a little too talkative, and I'd probably be a little too opinionated. Especially when like a guy somehow gets hit by a fair ball as a base runner at third base.
Yeah,
I don't know that I would talk about anything else the rest of the game.
Yeah, like 2 innings later.
Yeah, it's like, again, resetting for everyone that didn't listening. Brett Roberts was somehow standing in fair territory as the base runner at third and took a double away from his teammate, and that ended the inning. There's the 2-2 pitch to Smith. That's popped up. Let me say it again, Roberts.
Let's revisit this play by Roberts. Could turn out to be costly here. Jason writes, I'm taking the whole family, 5 adults, 5 kids, to their first FSU basketball game on Saturday. This will be my 4th senior day in a row, and nothing will beat the Boston College win in 2020. Hanging the banner, cutting down the net. FSU was on a 7-game win streak on senior day, last losing in 2014. Will they make it 8? No, they won't, Jason.
Oh, they
Well,
might.
NC State
stinks.
NC State.
I know. They've already beaten NC State. You're right. I was thinking about the Notre Dame game.
They're not winning that one, probably. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, you're right. They could actually.
I might give some more gambling advice. Did I ever tell you about the?
I heard the story. I was so proud of you. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, that weren't watching or listening to the Jeff Cameron show yesterday,
it was a Sunday smash. It was on the Sunday.
It was a Sunday smash.
Yeah.
I was convinced. Like, I don't bet. I don't really have an avenue to do it, or I would. Maybe not on Florida State stuff, but this one I was like, man, they are down 4 starters. They just lost by 20 points at Boston College. They scored 51 points at Boston College. They're not going to score 40 against Virginia. So I might have texted a few of my friends that I know gamble that very sentiment.
Hot tip, everybody.
It was the spread was 8 at the time. I'm like, look, I can't foresee a scenario where Virginia doesn't win this game by a blowout, and Florida State's probably not going to score 40 points. So my buddy Michael put $100 on the under and $100 on Virginia, and he was not happy with me Saturday night. He was not happy with me Saturday night. I told him, man, he's too results oriented. He's got to be
process.
He's got to be process oriented. The process of the bet made sense. It just Florida State hit some crazy shots down the stretch.
Just to help everybody out, this is a good example of why you bet in bulk, folks. You don't bet singular matchups, especially ones where you have an emotional tie.
The hot tip thing, though, from my days at the racetrack with my dad, the horse races.
Oh yeah,
there are people that will go around the horse track and tell you, "Hey, number 4 in the second." Like they've got this tip they want to show you, which makes absolutely no sense because the way pari-mutuel wagering works is the more people bet on a certain horse, the odds go down and their payout gets worse.
Right.
So why would you ever take? My dad's
because
like,
gamblers want to help other gamblers. That is, at our heart, we want to help our fellow degenerates.
My dad's like, man, never listen to that. He goes, what you do though, is if you ever see a former jockey or a trainer go to the window to make a bet,
you follow.
I'll follow that. He'll get in line behind them. That was my dad's trick. He would get behind the line, the trainers, and see how much they bet. And if they bet a large sum of money, it's like, I might show some interest in that.
Follow up on that one really quickly because I know we got to go to break. But, gentlemen, it sounds like Mr. Alford knows that Dick Hauser Stadium isn't going to cut it long term. Good. If the stadium moves to Jeff's preferred location, what would you like to see at the current site? I vote for a new softball and soccer complex.
More housing for all the assistants? All the football staff members?
The 500 assistants are going to have.
I feel like they have a pretty good softball and soccer complex. I know they have to share it,
I don't have a problem with it. I like it. I think it's fine.
Maybe, I mean, it's man, you can't argue with the success.
No, but it's a nice looking facility.
Yeah, no, it is.
They're
I'm
both
sure
better than Hauser.
I mean, they're both really good programs sharing a space. I'm sure they would like to have more space in the inside. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, in the inside. I was going to say, I don't know how many more seats you need.
No, I'm talking about the actual meeting space and all that in that building. And those
maybe that's where you put the facility. You put the football facility.
Did you? We always give Corey grief for not listening to the Jeff Cameron show Monday to Friday.
Well, there's so many opportunities. He may be listening tomorrow or Thursday. I don't know. Maybe Friday.
Did you read his column on the softball program?
I did. It was a novel.
How about that, Corey? You got support?
I don't believe that he read it, but I appreciate that he acted like he read it.
I did. You like the premise of it. You were always curious why it was they were so loose and they had so much fun. And you wanted to go find out for yourself. And so, that's how it starts.
Take it back, Corey.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a tremendous article. The depth, it was thorough. It was very thorough. I felt like we got as much as we could possibly.
Very thorough.
I squeezed that fruit.
Very thorough.
Everything out of that softball article. But it was the first really in-depth, well-done article on warchant.com for Florida State softball ever. So, Corey, I mean that as a compliment. There you go. Now we know everything there is to know about softball, and we know they kick ass. So it was warranted because if you're going to win a lot, you deserve the.
And I got when I was in the team meeting, she introduced me to the team. This was funny. She introduced me to the team, but she said, "Does anybody know who our special guest is?" And Sydney Sherrill put her hand up and said, "Don't you work for the Tallahassee Democrat?" And I go, "No, but I used to." And then nobody else, and I think somebody gave a hint, and finally Corey Clark came out. So and I was like, "Yeah, I work for Warchant," and I think Lonnie asked, do any of you guys know or are members of Warchant? And like 4 of them's like, no, but my dad is. So we get. I don't think the 20-year-old women are maybe our demo.
Shout out to I know Devin Flaherty's dad is I've talked to him a few times at some games. He's a FSU alum who has been on Warchant. Told me the story from when he was a student at Florida State. He first got on Warchant to follow recruiting,
right?
And now his daughter plays softball at Florida State,
and she's good. Well, she plays at Florida State. They're all good.
If FSU could have kept one commit from flipping in the last few years, would you have preferred Sam Howell, Charles Cross, or somebody else?
Sam Howell.
Charles Cross would have been nice, but yeah, I'd say Sam Howell. Is there somebody else?
Yeah. I mean, there's probably lots of kids actually.
Travis Hunter. Does he count yet?
That would have been good.
The
a number of kids from this last class that didn't sign. Marvin Jones Jr. would have been a good one.
I like the. Was Dalvin's little brother committed to FSU, or just everybody thought he was going to come to FSU?
I thought he committed for a minute. I think so. I think he was.
And then the running back from Miami was committed to Florida State for a while.
Knighton.
They just had Knighton. Yeah, Jalen Knighton. He's a nice player.
Yeah, but a little shaky.
Could be.
Got to do what you got to do. Things happen. By the way, I'm glad Sam Howell didn't come here. Andy didn't beat us.
He did not beat Florida State. That's true.
No,
but he was
that's right.
Yeah,
he would have won
0 for 2 against Florida State.
He was 0 for.
He would have won some of the games James Blackman did not win.
He would have, but then he would have still been Sam Howell, eminently not likable. So that's all right. Seminole Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV.
Need a plumber quick. How long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Now go call Seminole Glass. They'll get on the road and get it done fast.
Your local family-owned glass company, serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. At Seminole Auto Glass, we care about your safety. Insurance will send you wherever it benefits them, not the quality of service. There's a difference in auto glass companies. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass.
They handle any kind of broken glass, and you know who they are.
Better call Seminole.
Were you sold a lifetime of dream vacations only to get stuck in a timeshare with a lifetime of rising fees, point scams, and lies?
I was completely taken advantage of.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group, has been fighting and winning battles with timeshare companies for over a decade, canceling over 16,000 timeshares, resulting in $257 million of timeshare debt eliminated.
I believe that it's my job and my duty to help people out of their timeshare if they've been lied to and they've been done wrong.
If it wasn't for Wesley, I would be broke.
Wesley Financial Group has thousands of verified reviews, averaging 4.9 and 5 stars for a reason. They get results.
I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
For your free consultation and information kit, call now. 800-969-5511. 800-969-5511. That's 800-969-5511.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning. Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use.
With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
So our Wilmer writes, with all the tight ends in the room, I know some may transfer, but could any of them change positions and contribute from being moved to a different position, like offensive center, guard, or tackle, something along those lines? Well, I've certainly thought about that. They have some awfully big tight ends.
I do think like Marquiston Douglas is the one that I could see maybe being a tackle at some point because he's a huge dude.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, why wouldn't you start that process now? I don't know. You just give him a chance.
I think I already would have started that at some point. Yeah. That's the hope.
His nickname is Biscuit.
It is. That's right.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Question: who is on your Mount Rushmore for FSU basketball and baseball? Love the show. Mount Rushmore of basketball.
By the way, if Mount Rushmore had never been built, Sports Talk Radio would have been void of a lot of
for
topics.
a long time during the summer months. They would have struggled. They would have really struggled. Yeah, that is the easiest one.
It's like it's the only thing that has 4 things on it. Like it's the only, like, you couldn't. Who would be your Beatles?
So
who would be your Fab Four, something like that.
I always have a philosophical question about this. And so do you? So like Dave Cowens obviously was an all-time great player. He's in the Hall of Fame for the NBA and all that, right? Does he have to be on it? He probably has to be on it, right? Like, there's just no getting around
Number
that.
4 pick in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm just, I mean, we get back a certain way. The game's changed an awful lot. Is all I'm saying.
50 up best, like the original top 50.
He was an all-time great player, but you know, I mean, you think George Mikan's out here kicking ass?
Yeah,
these
man,
days?
but you can't do that.
I mean, I'm just saying. Yeah, I don't know. Well, mine would be really weird because it would be very isolated and focused on my favorite era prior to Hamilton, which I'd have Rodney Dobards, Doug Edwards, Bob Sura.
Yeah.
It'd all be right from that.
You'd have Chuck Graham on the bench.
The 92,
93 Mountains over.
Yeah, it'd be those guys.
Yeah, I would say I
Eddie
think you got to put
and, Buster Posey for baseball. Well, there's 1, 2.
For sure. Mike Martin.
And then John Ford Griffin. And that's that.
Oh, you're just going with, I would say Alisea.
Well, I mean, it's hard not to, at least for the singular season accomplishment, that 4 whatever John Ford Griffin hit that year is insane. So I don't know. It's tough. They've had a few good ones. I'd have to sit down and really whittle this down.
I think basketball would be easier if we really sat down and did it. I think Dave Cowens, Leonard Hamilton.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tony Douglas and Matthew Cleveland.
No.
Is Sura
not putting Cleveland on there yet?
No.
Sura would probably be on there. Sura stayed all 4 years.
I think Sura's going to be on there for sure.
Yeah. Even probably over Cassell, because Cassell was only a 2-year player and Sura played all 4 years. And
Sura was
really good all 4 years.
Yeah. David writes, hey guys, I remember Ira saying a few months ago that one of the big problems in recent years with the offensive line has been such poor depth that they couldn't effectively run a scout team in practice and weren't able to even approximate the talent they'd see in a typical game. Do you think this should be a better situation this year, or are we still a year away from getting good practice depth? Well, I think we still could improve in that area. I don't think they get good practice depth. This has been a problem for several segment groups. It's not just the offensive line. I mean, this has been a problem. We all have documented the receiver issues. Like, our corners and safeties weren't seeing dominant wide receivers week in and week out in practice. They couldn't replicate the offenses they were going to face.
Well, and you look at what they've been playing at linebacker for the last 2 or 3 years. Imagine what the backups and the scout team guys look like. So
it ain't pretty.
It's been a problem. I do think it's getting better, though. The depth in the offensive line is getting better. I mean, you think about the guys, they bring back basically everybody that started last year except Devontae Love-Taylor and Brady Scott, that position. But bring back a lot of those guys, and then you bring in a couple of transfers, and then you have guys like Thomas Schrader, who they love and really wanted to start 2 years ago, but has been injured. He'll be back. I think, they've got a couple other guys that have shown potential on that offensive line as well. I think I like the Zane Herring, a couple other guys that they brought in last year that have potential as well. So Lloyd Willis is another one. So it's getting there. It's not where it needs to be, but it's getting there.
Corey, this one's going to be for you, buddy, and it'll be fun.
All right.
Fellas, since the Coracle is fresh off his tour of duty with Coach A and a softball machine, can you compare a day with the ladies to a day with the football team? How are the mindsets different, and what, if anything, do you think the football staff could learn from Lonnie?
Yeah, I mean, they allow us to watch practice. I don't think we've ever been – it'd be cool to be in a team meeting with Florida State football or go into a position group meeting and watch them. The one thing that stood out to me the whole time was that, there's 30 players on the team. Only 10 are playing in a game, or 12. But legitimately, and they're not doing it for my benefit, when they're watching
I didn't even know who you were.
Yeah, they didn't even have any idea who I was. They had no idea who I was. Which is good to be. It's good to be humbled every now and again, guys, because I know when we walk around in Tallahassee, it is like the Beatles.
All the autographs and the photos, yeah.
So it is cool to go into a place where you can just be yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're not on a stage.
18 to 22-year-old FSU female students is not really our wheelhouse. So I don't know that that's a fair representation.
Wasn't that surprising? But the way they cheer for each other, like when they're taking infield, the girls that are running bases, the young women, they're running bases. When they're waiting their turn, they're legitimately cheering when one of their teammates makes a good play. And it's Florida State softball. They're all making good plays. They're not booting the ball around in practice ever. But they're all, there you go, Sid. There you go, Sid. Over and over and over again. And they do it in the film when they're watching film, when Cap makes a great pitch or something like that. I just don't know that guys do that kind of thing.
Well, I would say this.
I don't think it's a football thing. I think it's a guy thing where I don't think that's something you do in practice. There you go, Jeff. That's what I'm talking about, Jeff.
No.
Yeah, dog.
I'd come
do that a lot.
Did that, yeah.
But I would say this, though. The spirit behind that, though, is important, because I remember interviewing Alex Atkins 2 years ago going into spring practice and what he was looking forward to seeing. And that's exactly what he said was, I want these guys, but more than anything else, more than their strength, their quickness, their knowing their assignments, we have to get to a place where these guys are happy when their teammates do well. The guys at their position and the guys on the other side of the ball, because that wasn't happening and that wasn't there. That's the foundation. You have to love the guys you're playing with. So I do think it translates to football, even if you're not.
Yeah, you don't have to be all vocal about it. I mean, just a little slap on the ass on your way back from the drill will work.
But
I'd rather hear that a guy, Corey. Good play, Corey. I'd rather hear that than a slap on the ass.
Good smack on the ass from me, buddy.
But again, what brings a team through difficult times is.
Yeah, I think I just need to know you give a damn. I need to know that you're willing to sacrifice care about my well-being and mine yours, and that you're willing to do what we have to do to win.
It manifests differently in softball versus football, but that spirit has
and Lonnie also said that when somebody, because she actually said it felt like an issue before the season started, that there were people too much involved in their own stuff and not involved in the team success, and they had a conversation about it as a team. And she says the thing here is that when somebody is noticeably not happy for one of their teammates and just kind of stands there and goes through the motions, it stands out and it makes you look ridiculous, as opposed to we've all watched those college basketball games where the walk-ons at the end of the bench, or even the players at the end of the bench, they'll stand up if a guy makes a basket and clap, and there's no passion or energy behind it, and they sit right back down. You can tell they're just going through the motions, or they don't really care. They don't stand up at all. When you really do care,
Florida State basketball.
That's what I was going to say.
And they went nuts.
Like, imagine when Cleveland hit that shot, and there were a couple of guys on that team that just kind of stood there and all right, and looked like Leonard. Like the whole team just kind of looked like Leonard and walked to the dugout. That would look ridiculous. That's not what Florida State basketball is about.
No. Jeff, I dream of a day when Corey Clark is home watching the Sunday Smash.
Yes,
and gets
out of big dream.
Well,
yeah,
and just jumps out of his chair with excitement because you hit a great line.
Yeah, great point,
I made a great
Cameron.
point.
Great point.
Let's go.
You'd go there.
Stephanie, come watch this. Come watch what Jeff Cameron just said.
Look at this. This is amazing. Those are my guys.
That's how we do. This is Warchant for life.
Hassan writes, greetings to my favorite sausage slinging squad. Hey, now.
That's us.
2 questions for y'all. Number one, after hitting such a mind-boggling game winner, what are the chances we keep Cleveland? He's gone cold in the later half of the season, but I believe he can really be a difference maker next year. Well, if he develops a consistent shot, we all do, Hassan, but I don't know if that's going to make a difference, that shot or anything else. We'll see. Similarly,
what if he shot all his 3-pointers like that one?
Yep.
That's just
from his hip.
Yeah,
just from his hip. Yeah.
What are the odds we keep Caleb Mills? Well, I don't know where you mean like he transfers again to another college team? Because he's not going to the league. So I don't know what Hassan's question is there. Question number 2. When are we getting another quarterback for the upcoming season? I know we got Duffy, but putting him in for a hurt Travis would be a tough thing to do so early. Fingers crossed Travis stays healthy. Then he just wants to know if we're going to get. Well, you have to wait till after spring, so it's not going to happen until after spring. It would have to come in the fall. So,
but this next month, 5-6 weeks, is going to tell us how desperate that need is. I mean, if they're excited about AJ Duffy, and if he's, I mean, man, it's not crazy to go into a
man. You need to advocate for your boy Tate Rodemaker. Come on now.
Hey, Tate,
he's been a workout warrior in the black jersey. Don't be skipping Tate.
I'm not. I just know that whatever I say about Tate, people are just going to ignore.
Well, but understandably, and you understand that, right? Because we both think he has potential physically. Sure. He just hasn't shown it in a game where the lights are on or anything like that, And I want him to do that because I do think it would be a damn shame if he never got an opportunity to play well. I mean, he's had an opportunity.
He's been in a game. He could have played well.
Yeah, no, he was. That was an unfair situation.
Freshman year,
that was
in
ridiculous.
a COVID year where
he did throw the worst interception I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it was
I've
also
ever seen in football.
You know what? It was also a ridiculous play call.
You didn't need to throw it away.
You didn't need to throw it there. You didn't need to throw it there.
Staring at the dude.
You didn't need to throw it there.
Yeah,
backed up in that situation.
But also, he failed in the spring game, and I'd like to see him perform well. Even if, how about that? Perform well in the spring game when you get your shot, even if we know it's Jordan Travis's team. Then that would be good and encouraging in case Jordan Travis does miss any time. You could go to a guy that's been in the system, that has rep, and now maybe he's playing with confidence because he has some tools. He does.
Rodemaker is going to be Ira's football version of Ngam. He's going to ride the Ngam train.
Ngam at 23.
But Ngam's raining threes. By the way, to answer the first question, I can't imagine Matthew Cleveland's stock is to a point where
if he were to go now, look, man, I think there's a chance a team would take him because of what his potential is. But I think, man, he has so much potential that he needs to come back for another year and have a really good season.
But man, it's because it's like, man, look at the league. It's great that you're athletic and 6'8". They're all athletic and 6'8", but all of them can shoot. And his shot is so broken right now. That was good to see in that game, not just the hoisted 3 at the end. He actually started making mid-range jumpers again, which he hadn't done that in 6 weeks. But if he could develop even a semblance of an outside shot.
I think what this staff does, look at the way they improved Trent Forrest's shooting, Terrence Mann's shooting. They've done it time and time again. If he stays for another year, has a full season, off season in their program, they'll turn him into a top 10 pick.
Because I've heard the comparison to Barnes because of the athleticism, and Barnes wasn't a great shooter. Barnes wasn't a great shooter by any means either, but Barnes was a playmaker and did all these, like Barnes drops that pass off for the dunk.
And
there's no chance he doesn't.
Looked physically different than
Cleveland. Cleveland's an athletic, gifted athletic guy. Barnes is a next level gifted athletic guy.
Barnes is a better passer,
better defender, better all that stuff.
Rebounder.
Yeah. Had greater vision by far. Everything about him. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
A motorcyclist was seriously injured in a crash near the intersection of Highway 231 and I-10 Monday morning. The incident happened just after 10 a.m. The motorcyclist had just taken the I-10 off-ramp to get on Highway 231. Officials said the 48-year-old man from Las Vegas then attempted to make a left turn onto the highway. That's when troopers say he hit a pickup truck hauling a camper. The motorcyclist was seriously injured in the crash. Troopers said the driver of the pickup truck was not injured. However, his passenger received minor injuries. One suspect is in custody after a Saturday shooting that has left one victim in critical condition. Police responded in the 400 block of Hampton Way in reference to a shooting. The victim was found at the scene with a gunshot wound and was taken to a regional trauma center for treatment of serious injuries. The victim was outside the hotel when the shooting took place. Taylor Wade Walker, 23, was arrested and charged in connection to the shooting. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly sunny this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 73. Northerly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight. Lows level off around 43. Clear skies and quiet again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 77. Highs around 80 Thursday under mainly clear skies. 81 Friday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 73.
Let's take a minute to imagine all the things you can accomplish with help from Southeast Portable Buildings. Are you a hoarder? Hoard some more. Get a storage shed. Mother-in-law moving in with you? Put her in a shed out back. I'm kidding. Still working on that engine that you're going to finish from last summer? Move it out to a new workspace with Southeast Portable Buildings. From she sheds and man caves to repair shops and trophy rooms, the possibilities are only limited to your imagination. Visit Southeast Portable Buildings today.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
A woman only identified as Mrs. Wong posted on Chinese social media. She had gotten locked down after a first blind date. She discovered that their date's community had gone into swift lockdown after visiting his house for a meal.
This absolutely has to become a romantic comedy. Lockdown Love. He was looking for Mrs. Right, but he found Mrs. Wong.
Lockdown. Starring Matthew McConaughey. All right.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines is brought to you by Register Sausage, serving the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. To find a store near you or to buy directly from Registers, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Sean wants to know, so after a loss to Jacksonville and one on Sunday to Samford, what seems to be the common theme? What needs to be worked on for improvement? Well, they don't run the base as well, Sean. That's number one. It's the biggest thing that they don't do well. I think it's a really good baseball team. And a reminder to everybody that baseball is not football. You're going to lose a lot of games in a long season in baseball. Sometimes baseball is just baseball, and you lose a game 4-3, and you really didn't do anything wrong.
Well, I mean, the only common factors really is I think there's they scored like 4 runs in each of those games.
Yeah, I mean,
which
sometimes somebody pitches.
I mean, college baseball, if you only score 4 runs, there's a chance you're going to lose.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that you should.
Right.
That's terrible, but
yeah, I think
4 runs isn't a lot.
Yeah, they're a good team. I'm not worried about them. I like how aggressive they're being on the base paths. It'll help them later on. I know Meats talked about that. He feels like they have the athleticism to do that. Now, Corey, I think you would agree with me. Their wherewithal and the understanding of the base running that they're trying to develop is a little bit it's lacking. I mean,
I can't imagine why you would line up in fair territory on third. I've never seen that.
They've made a lot of mistakes on the base path, and that
kid in particular has made like 7 of them.
That's correct.
And he's a good player, he's a good hitter, really good fielder, and he's got to get better on the bases because he's going to be on the bases a lot.
Yeah.
If it was some dude that was hitting 130, I think the one question I have is, man, yeah, they're 4-0 with their 2 stud pitchers start and strike out the whole team. Yeah. They're 1-2 when they don't. I want to see these other arms step up. Now they're young.
Or they will, because they've got so many to choose from. And I just think that
it's just a matter of choosing the right ones and figuring it out. And I worry about I don't worry about it, but that's 2 times now where Scolaro's given up runs.
Yeah.
Which, when you're an elite pitching staff, you need to have somebody at the back end that is lights out. And
I just don't know if he's going to miss enough bats.
They may need to choose one of the other guys, of which they have a lot of choices to fill that role. The point is, this is where you work it all out.
Yeah, and that's what he does that I think maybe his dad didn't do.
That's correct.
He does give guys chances in leverage situations.
Yeah.
To go like Baumeister came on in a leverage situation, did not do well, and was immediately taken out, but he gave him a chance.
Well, and if you do that,
you'll
lose games. You'll lose games. There'll be times where it comes back to haunt you. You give up a couple of hits that you can't afford to in a high leverage situation, and you lose the game. I'd rather lose that game now than to not know what you have late in the season in a conference game that means a hell of a lot more, or God forbid, a postseason game. So to me, find it all out. Vet all of this now. Find out what guys do under pressure. Find out what guys do when they run the bases and you put pressure on defenses, and which guys can do it, which guys execute, which guys don't. I think there's enough bat-to-ball skills from this year's team as opposed to last year's team.
Yeah.
And I think they're two frontline pitchers, by the way. We talk about, well, they're fine when those two guys start. Well, they're going to be fine in most of the series that those two guys start.
They're pretty awesome.
We all know Sean's an elite headliner, the original elite headliner, and he asks his questions on Facebook. Are we getting any Twitter questions?
Oh, I've gone back and forth, buddy. Every week I get this second questions, the doubling down.
You need to go to James B on the screen right now.
I've gone all. I'm going to go to James B. He's
you
giving
definitely
money.
need to go to James B.
Fellas, let me steer the program. I got this. I see
Yeah.
James B right here. I was busy answering your Twitter feed question.
Hey, what about James B?
Yeah, great show as always, gents, writes James B. Thank you, James. You're right. What is the latest on the NIL legislation for the state of Florida? I don't know.
It's
How about that answer?
Well, all right. So they I'll try to answer it quickly.
Yeah.
So they put in those new bills, the amended bills, to try to get Florida on the same page as the rest of the country.
Get off their
Those
asses.
bills are stalled. The powers that be in the state legislature are not doing anything with it. They've just been sitting there last I checked.
Don't you love
They
politics?
haven't been moving at all. But I think what there's a possibility is they may just go back and scrap the original. At the end of the session, they can actually go back and get rid of the bill from last year, whatever the phrase is for that, whatever the terminology is. And I think that may be what they end up doing, is just getting rid of that, because then if they get rid of last year's law for the state of Florida, it'll put the state of Florida on par with everybody else in the country. So my guess is that's what's going to happen, because they aren't doing anything with those bills that were in the House and Senate.
Yeah, let's get it on. Let's go. Let's get it right. Amuro writes, I heard the Jeff Cameron show can slam dunk a basketball. That is true. It used to be true. I cannot now. I will tell you that. I cannot now. I tried yesterday.
What about volleyball?
No, I cannot now at all.
Tennis ball?
I don't think so. I did touch the rim yesterday with my son Bryce, and I about hurt myself again.
What's that like? So Ira and I clearly weren't maybe the level of athlete you were. It's not like I ever did anything astonishing as an athlete. You running track and being able to do like really, like not just, I can like hard layups.
Yeah,
you could do real dunks.
I
could
could
do backwards dunks and stuff. Not backwards.
Windmills.
Windmills.
I never windmilled. I don't think I never tried a windmill, but I could. Yes, I could dunk. Yes, but
so
I
what's
anymore.
that like? What's that like?
Not dunk anymore.
That's got to be tough, though.
Well, you've dunked on a small goal. It feels the same way it's on a real goal.
No, I'm saying, but you don't have that athleticism anymore. You're not what you used to be. It's got to be tough.
Corey, it hurts, buddy. It sucks.
We didn't ever have to go through that. We never had a lot of athleticism.
No, it sucks, man. And I'm telling you, I actually, of all the things, now I didn't do that many things all that well, but that was something that I took pride in. Like if it came up, I didn't run from it. I'd be like, yeah, I can dunk.
If you,
I made sure you knew it, but I cannot do it anymore.
I love dunking on 8-foot rims. I can't imagine what it was like dunking on 10.
Well, my buddy Alex and I, we would all of 8th grade, we would do it every day in gym trying to dunk. We would alley-oop to each other, just to see if one of us could do it. We couldn't do it. And then, but in 9th grade, we both went to Bay Point Middle School, and then in 9th grade, we went to Lakewood High School, and we would do the same thing. We had gym together again, and I would lob to Alex every day, and he'd lob to me. And when I finally did it, I'll never forget, Rich Ninus was watching. You'd have thought that I had achieved the greatest thing in athletics in the history. I about took my pants down and ran around the school. But yeah. And then from there, it got easier.
What's funny is, so Alexa, when she was playing basketball at Leon, at halftime, the halftime at a high school girls basketball game, there's not a lot going on. So these kids would go out and just try to practice.
They don't have Red Panda? They never had Red Panda come out and take the bowls on their head?
Never had the Superstars or whatever they were. But
quick change.
These high school kids would go out and try to dunk and could not dunk.
Right.
And we're all sitting there
like, well, somebody.
I mean, it's just like, you guys are embarrassing yourself. Could you just stop? You can't dunk. Why are you continuing? But I guess you got to keep trying to get there.
Yeah. And then once you do it, like once you can do it, it's like something goes off in your mind where you're like, that's all you want to do, and you can do it repeatedly. And I did it all the way through high school. I did it until I was in my mid-30s, late 30s even. But
so
I can't do it now.
When you see John Morant now, you see it a little bit like,
similar.
That was me right there. All 46 inches of my vertical. No.
I dunked yesterday.
No, he's insane. That's a different world, and it's odd to watch, and I can watch it. It never gets old watching a guy do that kind of stuff. It's insane. Yeah. It's nuts. Anyhow, Amara, thank you for allowing me to expound on that with your question. To answer the second part of your question, I'm 6'1". He asked me how tall I was.
There you
All
go.
right, good fellas.
Thank you, James B. I didn't tell James B. Thank you.
Thanks, James B.
James B. Tiggity writes, good day, fellas. Got one for Ira. Would it make you happier seeing Tony Bennett's face as Matthew Cleveland shot ripped through the nets, or a free week supply of Register sausage? Also, Corey, how's your stomach? People are really worried about your stomach, buddy.
I got an appointment. I'll go first, Ira. I got an appointment with the GI in about 2.5 weeks. So we'll get a diagnosis then and then attack it from there. But it's been good so far. I've cleaned up my diet. I've exercised a lot. So it's been all right so far.
Just need a little more yogurt. And I will go with the seeing Tony Bennett's expression. I think I'm going to go with that.
Also, somebody wanted to know, did you do the pistols after that shot went in from Matthew Cleveland? Because I hope you did, and it would have been awesome to see you in the living room firing off pistols after that shot went in from Matthew Cleveland.
He's killing his season.
if I had been there on press row, maybe I would have.
Oh, now that would have been funny. If you had actually stood up on press row and we caught it, like the video, Ira's last time ever being at the JPJ to cover a Florida State Virginia game.
Just hip thrusting in his face.
I didn't acknowledge Josie's play, shortstop making the catch, and so people were mad at me from the other day.
I retweeted it. It was an incredible catch.
Great catch. Yeah,
it was the game-winning. Like it was the last out of the game too.
Yeah. So John wants to know: do you believe the transfer portal is sustainable for the football program? How long can it be used until it becomes a detriment to the program? Will recruits want to come if they continue to see transfers get starts? Yes, they must compete for spots, but what's the downside? Well, there is a downside and a plus, and it is a very interesting question, and everybody's trying to figure this out. There are people, John, that will tell you that this is the future. This is the way it's going to work. There are going to be programs that survive almost entirely on the amount of talented, experienced transfer portal guys they can bring in. And while others will point out that you can't build culture that way, you can't build depth that way, you can't, to his point about kids seeing transfers come in and start over them, somebody who's been in the program that was recruited out of high school that's put in the work, obviously it's tough to sustain a culture that way. And I think there's a balance to be had.
It's a concern. There's no doubt. And to Jeff's point, it's something that they're going to have to keep an eye on. But I will tell you that I've actually heard some people talking to Nick Saban, and Nick Saban said in a group in a private setting, if he wasn't at Alabama, it's what he would be doing.
He would utilize the hell out of it. Yeah.
Because what happens now is colleges, you bring a kid in for a year or two and develop them, and then they look to leave. You'd be foolish to not explore the transfer portal. Now, do they need to get 12 guys every year? No, probably, but it's definitely going to be a part of what they do
until they get to an elite program again where they can bring in a bunch of 5 stars. It's about the only avenue. It's the best avenue.
Well, I mean, think if they hadn't had Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they would have been absolutely screwed. Hey, we're saying goodbye, man. That's it. That's all. Good work, Matthew. Good job, Corey. Good to see you, brother. Be well.
I love you. I love you, Jeff.
Too. All right. Love you too. For Ira Chappelle, I'm Jeff Cameron. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening on 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. Peace. We'll talk to you again later.